Do you need to spend a fortune on a hi-fi system? Perhaps you're looking for something more attainable, with style. You work hard. You have taste. You would prefer to buy a small bottle of the good stuff. You're sophisticated. You're on the rise. So I guess I really condensed my thoughts into that little commercial that I did. I hope you enjoyed that. I kind of had all the shots in my head and I really needed to get it out. Anyway, this is my review of the Jamo S 809 speakers. I've had a blast listening to these speakers for the last 2 or 3 weeks. I've really enjoyed it. They are a great set of speakers. Anyway, if this is the first time you're watching my channel, welcome, it's good to have you. These speakers consist of a 1-inch soft dome tweeter and 3 5-inch mid-bass drivers. This is a two-way design, but a good way to think about it is just kind of picture that these 3 speakers, the surface area combined, if you put them all together, it turns into about between an 8 and 9-inch driver. As far as these speakers go, they're very attractive. It's going to be hard to say goodbye to them. They're very good-looking speakers. When I look at them, I think of how they could be part, you can almost picture them in like Mad Men or something, in a scene in Mad Men or a prop. If they were like in a scene, you probably wouldn't even think anything of it. They kind of look like a mid-century modern styled piece. And if you're into that kind of style, then I think you're going to love these speakers, and I think they're going to complement your decor very nicely. These speakers feature they're ported in the front, so you can put them close to the wall and they won't sound very boomy. I settled at about 8 inches from the wall. Jamo claims a frequency response of 37 Hz to 26 kilohertz for these. They're somewhat conservative, at least in my room. They were starting to roll off at around 30 Hz. You know, very similarly to my Golden Ear Triton 7s. Again, could be my room. You may have your mileage may vary in your room. Not even for a second did I feel that these speakers didn't produce enough bass. So yeah, you got the looks with these speakers, but do they perform? They absolutely do. They're crystal clear. They have a great open sound stage, very decent bass. I took measurements of them, you'll see it later in more detail, but they went toe to toe with my Golden Ear Triton 7s with no problems, pretty much until the very end, kind of kept up with them. I absolutely love this magnetic grille, which I honestly didn't think I was going to like. But now that I see it in person, I didn't think that this gray, kind of like rough textile or texture, I didn't think I was going to like it. But now when I saw it in person, it is a really attractive looking speaker. Let me tell you, the magnets just stick on. You can put them on kind of like sideways and it'll find its way back. You may want to like square it up a bit, but it's perfectly strong, no issues whatsoever, no rattling. If you're expecting that to rattle, the magnets are nice and strong, no problems there. Even though I wouldn't necessarily recommend these speakers are very easily expandable with ATMOS modules you stick them right here. They're like metal pins. I'll give you a close-up of that. They're like little metal pins that you stick the little speaker in, and that actually forms the speaker connection. So you don't have to like run unsightly wires from the back of the speaker. It's already done internally. It's a plug and play kind of situation. So you put the module on here and it bounces up off the ceiling and you're done. You're good to go. You're going to see in the back of the speaker there's 2 sets of binding posts. One is for the main set of speakers. The other one would be the top one. Specifically is for the ATMOS module, which goes on the top. I think Jamo did a really good job in integrating that, even though personally I do not recommend the speakers that bounce on the ceiling. It's not as effective, but if you're renting, or if you have no other choice but to do it that way, or you absolutely are against paying to have in-ceiling speakers put in, or running wires through your walls, then if you are going that route, you may want to play around with your seating and see where you get the best benefit. I hear that you need to be very specific location in your room in order to get any kind of ATMOS effect. As far as amplification needs, these speakers are very easy to drive. I drove them with absolutely no issues with my Macintosh stereo, and I also drove them with my Onkyo RZ830 home theater receiver with no problems. It's also, that one's rated at about 120 watts per channel at two channels at 8 ohms. The Macintosh is rated very conservatively at 105 watts per channel. The sensitivity rating of these speakers is 90 decibels, which means that you'll be able to drive them very easily with pretty much, I would guess, as low as 15 watts per channel would probably do it, if maybe even less. So the construction, these speakers are constructed at MDF with a vinyl wrap. I do have a few criticisms of the construction, but you know, it's hard to nitpick at this price point. You know, you do see some seams in the vinyl wrap. You look closely, there's not much texture to it, so it's obviously a wrap. But again, hard to nitpick at this price point. The performance is there. So as far as if you're 3, maybe 6 feet away from these speakers, you probably don't even notice. You know, your friends are probably going to think you spent a small fortune on these speakers. You can't see them in this shop, but they do have these little metal feet that you screw on when you first get them. They do a really good job at providing stability. Yeah, I can move them a little bit, but they're not going anywhere. So I also listen to these speakers in a home theater capacity as well. I had them connected to my Onkyo RZ830, which is a pretty good 9-channel home theater receiver. I use these in conjunction with the Jamo S81 CEN center channel speaker and the S801 little bookshelf speakers, which I use as surrounds. And they obviously are voice matched with this speaker, and they work well. I would still suggest using a subwoofer with these speakers. They do get pretty bassy, but you know, in most circumstances I would recommend a subwoofer for any home theater. In a pinch, if your budget is tight, you could probably get away with a subwoofer with these for the time, you know, for a while, but eventually, you know, to get a little more impact in your movies, you're going to want to get a sub, even if it's just one. So this is the full frequency response for the Jamo S809s and the Golden Ear Triton 7s. The Triton 7s are in brown, and the Jamo S809s are the green line. And you can see they appear to be much brighter in the top end, the Jamos. And you can see a bit of a bump here in this area here between 100 and I'm going to say 181 hertz. You know, that could give you a characteristic of like a slightly boomier speaker. The Golden Ears are a little flatter in that area. Okay, so these are the measurements I took of the Golden Ear Triton 7s and the Jamo S809s. The blue line is the Jamo S809s, and the yellow line are the Triton 7s. And as you can see, this is covering between 10 and I measured up to about 120 hertz. So, you know, looks like the Golden Ears have a little more output between, I'm going to say 52 and 71 hertz. But then, you know, the Golden Ears have slightly higher output at around, you know, between, looks like 80 to about 100 hertz. And then, you know, after about this point here, about 52 hertz, they're pretty much in line. But then the Golden Ears start producing more. The output is more extended to about. So at around 20 hertz, you got like you still have 75 decibels versus 72. You know, which isn't a big difference, but there is slightly more output coming out of the Golden Ears. So. But then again, very impressive for, you know, a set of $400 speakers. The Golden Ears cost 4 times more right now, so not bad at all. As far as my listening experience, if I haven't made it clear enough, these speakers, I played a variety of different albums on them, from, you know, CDs and vinyl, jazz, rock, even a little bit of pop music. Everything I put on them sounded great. I honestly enjoyed listening to them at all volume levels, from low, mid, medium, high volume levels, and it was always a pleasure, honestly. I'm actually kind of in shock of how well these sound. there wasn't a single moment where I felt that these speakers were booming in any way, or in any way convoluted even at higher volumes. I just didn't, they just always were a delight to listen to. I don't really have any criticisms. To my ears, they sounded really good. Can't complain. Yeah, I can't nitpick these speakers at $400 a pair. So I'm going to give some final thoughts on these speakers. If you're looking for a very stylish speaker that sounds really good, it's a no-brainer. It's only $400 a pair, and if at times you can get them, you might, if you're lucky enough, you can find a deal where you get these two speakers, the center and the two surrounds, for like basically for $400, which is basically what these are going for right now as a pair. If you told me that these speakers cost $1,000 a pair, I would have believed you based on the sound. Maybe not necessarily the vinyl wrap and all that stuff, but just you close your eyes blindfolded, you told me, hey, these speakers were $1,000 a pair, I would have believed you 100%. I would be like, okay, yeah. I think Polk Audio is coming up with a new speaker, the XT60. I don't know if it's going to be, I would wager that these would still be better, even if those are going to run you about $400 a pair. I just reviewed a pair of the XT15s. You know, I really can't picture that. It'd be really hard to beat these speakers for $400. I think they're a bargain. And if you want good looks, a good, really cool magnetic grille, and you know, excellent quality sound, I don't think you can go wrong with these. And I I'm going to give my strongest recommendation possible for these speakers. You won't be disappointed. So again, I just want to say thank you for watching, and if this is your first time you're watching my channel, welcome. It's really good to have you. Please feel free to leave any questions or comments that you have on these speakers. I'm happy, and I'll answer them as best as I can. It really helps the channel out. If you could like and subscribe, that would be really great. And I'll see you in the next one.